Great people, welcome to NameTech channel. My name is Nehemiah and I'm very happy to have you on board. So today we are going to talk about Python Mongodb. It's a full course, and this one is a NoSQL database or a NoSQL database. So guys, before we begin, please take a minute, subscribe, like and share the video to your friends if you have not done so. And to the returning subscribers, I really appreciate you very much for your continuous support. So guys, you can also like this video so that YouTube may recommend it to very many people. Otherwise, let's begin straight away. Python can be used in database application, and previously we talked about MySQL. We also have PostgreSQL, but then for today we are going to focus on MongoDB. And this one is a NoSQL database or a NoSQL database because it stores data in JSON like documents, which make the database very flexible and scalable. So guys, basically to be able to experiment with code, basically in this tutorial we need to have this MongoDB database here or a software. So to download it, you basically you can use their cloud services. First of all, let me just show you how you can download for localhost. Just type in it should be mongodb.com, and then download. Then find for community version here. Click on community server download, and then you can download for your operating system. You can change, of course, the version. The current version is 6.1. Remember, we have other earlier versions, and then you can change the operating system. But then for me, it is Windows, and then you can choose the package that you want to install with. So you can just install for any. Remember, for me, I already have it. So once you have installed, you'll have this, and you have opened, you have launched, you'll have this kind of an interface. So the next thing, remember, we are going to use Python to write our codes, and basically you can by default it usually give you these are three databases. Of course, you can create another one, like you can just say perhaps test, and then now with MySQL, actually with this Mongo, when you create a database, also you must create a collection and at least put some records or tables for actually some records for it to work. So perhaps let me just call it my collection, and then what you do, just click on create a database, and then you can add in data. But you can see that we have this table here. This is our database here. So guys, basically I'm gonna let me first of all drop this one. I want to show you how you can work with Python. So first of all, you are going to choose which text editor you are going to use. You can use Notebook from Anaconda. Alright, the same guys, I want us to try IDE. That is PyCharm. Let's use PyCharm. Let me just type in PyCharm. You can download PyCharm if you don't have. It should be PyCharm. PyCharm. I'm using a community one. Then I just click on it to open. Click on it to open. Then I give it some time so that it may launch. So first of all, I want us to create a new project here. And let me click on this create new project, and then guys, I can call it perhaps let me just call it Python MongoDB, Python MongoDB, and then what I do, remember this is a location for PyCharm projects, then a Python MongoDB, a virtual environment, and then leave everything the way they are. Then I click on create. Click on create to create a new project here, and then I give it some time so that it may launch. So once again, let me just close these tutorials here or tips because I don't need it now. So basically, this is the interface, and I don't know what these stuffs are all about here at the bottom, but let me just click on it so that I may install it. So first of all, let me just clear this code. You can delete it. You can delete it on your end too, and then perhaps I can minimize this section. Hide. Let me just try to hide so that we may find a proper place to code. So here, guys, basically I want us to install what? I want us to install the driver that will be able to connect us with that MongoDB, and that the driver is PyMongo. So basically, for us to be able to connect with this Mongo database, we need this driver. So go to the terminal here of this PyCharm, and then you can type in what? You can type in you can use a pip. Remember, pip is a package manager to install Python programs or Python packages. Just type in pip, install PyMongo, and then click enter so that you may install that PyMongo. Remember, for me, I had already installed that program. So what I do here, let me just begin to code here. And so here, guys, basically to test the connection, you're gonna type in import PyMongo, and then what you do, let's try to run. You can see the shortcut is shift plus F10, but you can choose to run with this icon, just clicking on this icon. Then guys, basically when you run and you see there's no error, just know that it's working. You just know that you have this PyMongo installed in your system. So now the thing, guys, here I want us to create the database with the code. So guys, basically to create a database in Mongo, we start by creating a Mongo client object, and then specify a connection URL with the correct IP address and the name of the database that you want to create. So basically, MongoDB will create the database if it doesn't exist, and make a connection to it. So first of all, guys, after we have imported this module, let's type in this code. Let me say my client. My client should be my client. You can give it any variable. My client. Then let me assign it to PyMongo. Then dot Mongo. Mongo client. And then we're gonna pass in. Let's pass in what? First of all, it should be inside these two quotes. Then here you can type in MongoDB. Should be MongoDB, DB, like this. Then colon, then double forward slash. Then type in here your local host, and we are gonna use the alias, which is 127.0.0.1, and then guys, basically you can find these tabs here. Just go to this here. Then what you do, just go here. You can see, you can find these let me just click on these copy connection strings, and then what I do, let me just go to PyCharm. Then you can see, let me just try to try to paste it here. First of all, let me just delete this one, MongoDB. Then you can see that you have this you have these stuffs here, but then here I can remove what? I can remove this colon, and instead let me add in a forward slash like that. First of all, let's define this connection. Let's create a variable for connection. Let me call it my DB, and then let me assign it to my client. That variable. Then I'm gonna pass in this list. I'm gonna pass in let me pass in what? Let me pass in my database. But then guys, you need to know that in MongoDB, a database is not created until it gets some content, like you can create the tables, or in Mongo it's called collections. So basically Mongo waits until you have created a collection or a table with at least one document or a record before it actually creates the database. But then let's check if the database exists. First of all guys, let's run this code and see if we will have any error. So if you don't see any error, just know that it is created. Now the next thing, let's check if the table exists. So what do? Let's just type in so guys, what I do here, let me just type in what? Let me just type in a print, and then I'm gonna type in what? My client, and then a dot list, my client dot list underscore database, then underscore name, names should be names, and then is an object, basically is a so what I do guys, let me just try to, or rather guys, basically let me undo this comment because I think I should use it to make the connection. First of all, let me zoom out. Let me just undo the comment here, and then what I do guys, let me try to run it and see if it will return all the basically let me just see if it will return all the database created here. And then so far it has just returned the admin config in the local host, but then this one tells us that it is now connected. Remember I said that it can't create a database until you have done what? Until you have created a collection. But basically when you see this result that it has returned admin, let's check it out. You can see here we have the admin, we have the config, and the local. So basically this shows that the connection is perfect. So now let's guys, basically let me do this. Let me now show you how you can check a specific database. If you want to check a specific database, you can do the same. You can do the same guys by just instead here you're gonna do this. Let me use a variable here, and then perhaps let me say let me say what, perhaps let me just say db list. Let me create a variable and I call it db list. First of all, I should have zoomed in, and let me say db list, and then assign it to my client, then dot list, database names here, and then here I'm gonna pass in basically let me use an empty tuple, then to return a particular database. We're gonna use a for if statement here. If my let me say if my database, in, first of all let me just let me make this one a comment, because I remember this one is just a variable to create the comment. And then here guys, let me do this. Let me just do what, let me say in db list, basically in db list, in db list, and then here I'm gonna say print and then I'm gonna pass in a string. Perhaps let me say the database exists. Otherwise it won't run anything. Let me just do it. Let me just try to run and see if it will work. Guys, basically you can see it hasn't printed anything because that database is not created. Remember I've just I've just told you that you need to create also the collection for the database to be created. Otherwise, for example, if I want to try to locate what I want to locate admin, I can do that. Let me just try that. Let me just change here to admin. remember that admin exists. Let me say admin, then let me try to run, let me run, and then you can see the database exists. Guys, it should be exist. So guys, basically this is how you can check that. But then for now guys, I want to show you how to create now the collection. And first of all, let me zoom in. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing on this other end. So first of all, let me just delete this. I think now you've known how to return the list of the available database. So now guys, basically let's now talk about how we can create a collection in Mongo. And I remember a collection in Mongo DB is the same as the table in SQL database. But then this one is kind of different. It's kind of a document because it uses JSON file. Now basically to create a collection in MongoDB, we use the database object and specify the name of the collection that we want to create. So guys, basically Mongo will create the collection if it doesn't exist. If you want to try that, if you want to do that. So guys, basically after this, ensure that you have these connection codes. First of all, you import the module PyMongo, and then you create a variable for your connection. Then you can also create, you can create the variable to create the database. Remember, we have just defined the database. We have just created the database, but you must also create the actually the collection for it to be created there. So far guys, basically you can see when you refresh on this one, when I just refresh, there will be no that database called my database, but when we will add the collection, you will find it there. So what I do guys, here guys, basically what I do to create that collection, I'm gonna say, perhaps let me call it my collection a variable, then let me assign it to, you can use another variable name, then let me assign it to this is my DB database, my DB. Remember this is the variable to create that my DB that we have just used here. And then here what I do, let me pass in to this, it should be a list. And then here perhaps let me give it a name, perhaps let me say customers. I like using customers, you can use anything. And then remember this my DB, this my DB here, it is this one. I don't know why it is underlining an error here. So my DB, or guys, basically what do I do? Let me just try to run. I think just something that I don't understand here. So what I do guys, let me just try to run. Let me run and see if it will work, or if it will give us the error. So guys, basically my DB is not defined, so I don't, oh sure guys, basically I made it a comment, sorry, I made it a comment. So let me try to undo the comment. I forgot to undo the comment. So you must use this my DB connection actually to create that database. So first of all, let me undo the comment. Then now you can see now the error has is now removed. So now what I do guys, let me try to run again. It is shift plus F10 to run, shift plus F10, and then when it runs without any error, just know that basically it is created. Just know that that collection is now created, and also it won't appear unless you have done what. Remember, this collection will not be created until basically you have added some records or a document. You have inserted the document. So basically let's try to check it out. First of all, let me try to refresh, and then let me refresh. You can see it's not there still. So basically let's try to check if this collection exists. Remember, it won't appear there because it doesn't have any record in it. So guys, basically to print it out, we are gonna use basically to list out the to list if we have the actually the collection there, we can use a print function. Then here we're gonna pass in my DB, then dot. Oh, first of all guys, let me let me do it. Let me zoom in, and then here let me say dot list collection names, this one, and then here guys, basically what I do, let me just run and see if it will work. Shift, remember it is shift plus what, shift plus F10, and then you can see there's no list here because we haven't added any record, and that's why you can see it doesn't appear there. So you can even specify which list. You can specify the list, actually the list that you want. But remember, for us, we haven't created unless you have added some record to it. Let me just show you first of all how you can add the records, and then later I'll show you how you can do it, how you can check if it exists or not, if the collection exists or not. So basically, let me talk about how you can insert into a collection. Remember, a document in Mongodb is the same as record in SQL database. So when I say document, just know that it is a record in, just like in the SQL database. So guys, let me now talk about how you can insert into a collection. Remember, a collection is like a table, and then now a document is like a record. So basically, to insert a record or a document, as it is called in MongoDB, a collection, we use the insert one method if we want to insert perhaps one item. So the first parameter of the insert underscore one method is a dictionary containing the names and the values of each field in a document that you want to insert. Perhaps guys, let me just show you that so that you may understand what I'm talking about. First of all, let me be sure that you're able to see, and then here, first of all, let me just remove this one because I don't want this print function here at the moment. And then here, perhaps let me just call it my dictionary. Remember, it's JSON. It will be this document or a table is kind of a JSON like document. It uses the dictionary and whatever. So let me say my dictionary, and then let me assign it to. Remember, dictionary in Python is defined using the braces, and then here I can say perhaps let me say name, the key. Let me give it name, and then what else? The name. Perhaps I can say Nehemiah Wekesa, and then now for address. Perhaps let me add in an address. Remember, you separate a parameter with a comma. Or let me just add in a comma. Then in this next line of code, the key. The next column. Let me just say, let it be address. And then in this address, remember it should be inside the quotation marks. The address I can give it, perhaps the value now. The address I can give the values now. I can give it perhaps Nairobi, Kenya, and then let me now create a variable here. Perhaps let me just say, first of all, not really after that. Remember, I just want to have two columns, and then here I can say what. Let me just use a variable here. Let me say x. Let me give it my perhaps my collection. Then let me say dot insert one method here. Then I'm gonna pass in what my dict like that. And then what do we do? Okay, so let's try to print x and see if it will work. Let me say print x. Then what I do, let me run and see if it will work. Let me run, and then here you can see it has printed out some results here at the bottom. So just know that it's now working. Insert one record result object, and then these other stuffs. So let's check it out in our MongoDB database. Let me refresh, and then now guys, basically you can see now my database exists because we have created the database, we have created the records, actually the collection, and also we have added some document or records in it. So when you check it out, you can see we have the ID the object. We also have the name and the address. So basically, this is how you can insert records into your collections. So basically, the insert one method returns a insert one result object which has a property insert ID that holds the ID of the inserted records. This one. How can we insert the multiple documents or records? Remember, when I say documents, it's just like the records in SQL documents, like MySQL, database engines. So basically, to insert multiple documents into a collection in MongoDB, we use the insert many method. So guys, basically the parameter insert underscore many method is a list containing the dictionary with the data that you want to insert it. So like so what I do here so here guys, basically in this my DB list, I can do what I can what I do guys, let me just to be precise guys, let me just use a single line of code for a particular record or a particular document, and then let me just I don't know if it can work like in Visual Studio Code to duplicate. It doesn't work. Let me just copy and then I do it. Let me just paste it here, or rather guys, let me just do this. Let me just it should be a list, guys. So let me just insert into a list. List is defined using the brackets. Then here I'm gonna pass in several documents or records, let's say. Then here I can change the name. Perhaps let me change the name from Dan Stomer. Perhaps I can say John Smith. Here I can say perhaps someone like Abigail Cherotich. And then here perhaps let me just say should be, let me use Michael Ochin, perhaps, just picking random names. And then here I can say perhaps someone like let me say Michelle or Auma. And then here I can say someone like Boniface Cape Kemboy, and then here let me say Dennis Cherotich, and then here I can say something like let me use perhaps I can say who. I'm stuck with the names. Perhaps let me just say Ruth. Yeah, let me just Ruth Malaysian. Then I can change the address perhaps here to let me say Eldoret. Eldoret is in Kenya. Also, let me set it to Nakuru. And then I don't have to change everything. Remember, this one is just for the sake of an example. And then the other thing is after you have added, you must separate at least with a comma like this. Also here you separate with a comma. You separate also here a comma. Also here you add in a comma. You also add in a comma. The last item you don't have to do that because the last item. So now here we are going to change the argument. We are going to change the method here from insert one to insert many, and then my dict remember this my dict is the variable for these dictionaries or these records or basically these documents. Remember in MongoDB is called records. And then what I do is here, let me see what let me say so here it can be IDs. It should be IDs in many, like this. Insert IDs like that. Insert IDs. I think you are able to see. I'm hoping you're able to see. And then basically this one will print the list of the ID values of the inserted documents. So let me try and to run and see if it will work. Let me run shift. Remember it is shift plus F10 the shortcut. Shift plus F10 to run. And then it will print out what? It will print out. First of all, it should be shift plus F10. And then you can see, guys, it has printed out what? The object ID of the inserted document or records. So let's check it out if it's there in our MongoDB. Let me refresh. And then guys, basically you can see we have added several documents here. So guys, you can see by default, if you do not specify the ID, this MongoDB will just assign for you as a unique ID for each record. But it's a good practice always to define your the ID. So guys, let me show you that how you can define the ID for a certain record. So basically, in that case, here you have to define your ID. So in that case, here you're gonna do this. In each, you're gonna add in what? These input field, these are value like underscore ID. First of all, ID. Then you specify the ID that you want. Remember, ID is an integer. First of all, you separate with a colon. And then here, you say what? You say 1. And then you do what? You close with a comma. Okay, so basically the error here is caused because of I forgot to add in this the opening tag. Yeah, guys, you can see it has now disappeared. Let me just do the same for other. Let me just copy, and then here let me just paste. Let me paste it here. Let me paste it here. Let me paste it there, and then let me just do it. Let me just paste it here at the bottom. Also here, let me just paste it there. And then here I can change to 2, I can change to 3, I can change to 4, I can change to 5, I can change to 6, I can change it to 7. Remember, it must be unique, each ID, for it to work. So basically I should have used a small ID. Let me just I should have used a small ID, so it should be ID. It should be ID, a small ID, not capital. I can see there's an error there, so it will add it as a another column. So let me. It should be small. Should be ID in small letter. Also here ID in small letter. Then here also should be ID. Then here it should be also ID. Then here it should be ID, and then here it should be small ID. Then let me try to run again and see if it will work. Shift plus F10, and then guys, basically you can see now it has returned a unique ID. So guys, basically initially I had forgotten to do what I had forgotten to do what to insert the correct the keyword should be this one is a built-in keyword, should be small ID, so that it may do what it may add in a unique ID for each record. Let's try to refresh and see if it has done that. Let me refresh here, and then now you can see now here at the bottom we have a unique ID 1, 2, 3, 4 and so forth. So basically guys, this is how you can insert a unique ID for each record if you don't want to use the other one, which is automated in the basically the default one from this MongoDB. So now let me show you how you can find perhaps a certain record, or basically you can find how you can find the data in your collection. So guys, basically in Mongo we use the find and find one method to find the data in our collection, just like the select statement. that we used earlier in the MySQL database in the previous course. Here we use the find method. You can use find or a find one method to find data in our collection. So let me begin with the find one. And remember to select the data from our collection in Mongo. We can use the find one method, and the find one method returns the first occurrence of the selection. So first of all, let me just delete this. I think by now you understand how you can insert the new documents or records in our database. So here, guys, let me just let me just delete these cells, and then here let me create a variable. Let me say x, and then assign it to my call. Should be my call, my collection. Then let me say find. Find underscore one method should be find underscore one method, and then let me say print, and then what to do, let me just should be x. Now let me run shift plus F10, and then you can see now the first record that it has returned is that one, Nehemiah Wekesa, which was our first record. Let me just check it out. And then when you go at the top, you can see the first record was Nehemiah Wekesa, and then address Nairobi, Kenya. So guys, I remember that you can also return only some fields. Now the second parameter of the finder method is an object describing which fields to include in the results. So if you use an empty method, it will return everything. But then you can also specify which records that you want to return. So in that case, guys, basically I'm going to show you. And basically remember this parameter is optional and it is omitted. If omitted, all the fields will be included in the results. So let me just show you. So you begin first of all by doing what? I begin by creating an empty dictionary there, and then the second one, basically the second one is also a dictionary. Then in this dictionary, perhaps if you want to find only the first record, basically, or if you want to find the ID number one, you just say it should be inside the quotes underscore ID in small letter, and then you do what, you separate the key with a value with a comma like this, and then for name also, let me say name, and the ID should be the same. ID should be number one, comma, and then address should be inside the quotations. Address you separate with the colon, then address also is one, and then what I do is let me just try to run and see if it will print out the results. So shift plus F10. So like here I can say perhaps let me give it ID number 0, although I don't know if it exists, but let me just try shift plus F10, and then it returns some more results. But then I remember that you are not allowed to specify both two IDs like 0 and 1 values in the same object, except if one of the fields is the ID field. And if you specify a field with the value of 0, all other fields will get the value of will get the value of 1, and vice versa. So okay, so basically let me show you guys how you can do it, how you can exclude others. Like for example, let me just say here, let me pass in address, and then let me just give it 0 here. Then what I do, shift plus F10 to run, and then guys, basically that part of the address will be excluded. And you can see it is now excluded. So guys, basically if you specify both different IDs of the same object, basically you might get an error. But then what I do, let me just try to talk about something else. Let me talk about how you can query. Let me talk about the Mongodb query. So you can filter the results, and basically when finding a document in a collection, you can filter the result by using the query object. The first argument of the method is a query object, and it is used to limit the search. So like let me create a variable here. And then let me just call it my query. Then let me assign it to what? Let me assign it to this one. I should be a dictionary. To this a dictionary, and then our address should be inside the quotes. Should be inside the quotes, and then a colon, and then the address. Perhaps I can say Nairobi, Kenya. I think it exists. Let me say Nairobi, Kenya. I think it exists. And then here we're gonna do at least try to. Here let me just use a let me just here now. Let me say my document, my document or a record. Let me just say my document. Then let me assign it to my collection. That variable my call, and then I dot find. Then we're gonna pass in what my query, and then to the print function. Not really. Let me use a for loop here. Let me say for x in my doc let me say print print that x, then I shift plus F10 to run, and then guys, basically you can see it has returned this item that has Nairobi, Kenya in it. So guys, basically you can also make advanced query, and basically in that case you have to use modifiers as values in the query object. Just like in the MySQL we used wildcard characters, here you can also use these modifiers to find the document where perhaps the address starts with certain values or a phrase or letters. So in that case guys, let me just show you. Let me say here my query here I'm gonna have modify to something else, like let me say the first item is gonna be, you begin with a dollar sign, a dollar sign, and then here you say GT greater than, and then here I can say perhaps N. Let me just say N greater than, and then greater than, then let me say N. Remember this one is separate. It should be inside that another curly braces like that. And then what I do here is let me just try to run again and see if it will work. So shift plus F10, and then you can see it returns the value that has n and are greater than in the alphabetical order. Like for example, if you want to say n from n, m n, n or p, and in such order, you can do that. So you can see it returns everything that has n in it and above in the alphabetical order. You can also filter with regular expression, and basically you can also use regular expression as modifier. And remember, this one can only be used by a query string. So okay, so basically to find only the documents where perhaps the address starts with the n, we use the regular expression also. We can also use the regular expression like here you just modify to reg ex, and then here also you can say, you can to specify which they are greater than, actually to greater than values greater than n in the alphabetical order. You just say passing what you just passing this symbol for greater than or above, like that. And then what you do, let's try to run and see if it will work. Shift plus F10, and then you can see that it give us the same result. So that's how you can filter. And then let me talk about how you can sort. So basically, to sort the result, basically we use the sort method to sort the results in the ascending or a descending order. And basically, the sort method takes one parameter for perhaps field name and one parameter for the direction. The direction can be ascending or a descending. So let me show you guys that example. So in that case, perhaps let me just delete these tabs here. Remember, these other ones we don't delete because this one defines our collection, our connection, define our database, defines our our collection. Remember, this one is the database, this one is the collection, then this one is the connection. Connection, database, then this one is collection, collection or table. And then here, let me say my doc. Variable my document or my record. Then here let me say my call, and then here let me say dot find. Let me say dot find. Then here is an object. Then also let me just pass in. Let me just call sort, sort, and then it's gonna be name. It's gonna be name, and then here perhaps I can say what? Let me say let me use a for loop here. Let me say for x in my doc. For x in my doc, let me do at print x, so that it may return all the values that has that are basically in the alphabetical order. So like let me just say shift plus F10, and then as you can see now the values are now rearranged. You can see now in the name column, Abigail is the first one, and then you can see Abigail, in that category Boniface, then a Boniface in that category. Then you can see the last one in the name part is root. So root in this record that I have here, or the document that I have here, is the list number in the alphabetical order. So if you want to change into the descending order, we can use value to -1 and basically as the second parameter to sort the descending. For descending, so in that case, guys, basically we are gonna do this. First of all, a comma, and then for descending is -1. We are gonna say -1 for descending. Then a shift plus F10, shift plus what? Shift plus F10, and then you can see now Abigail is at the bottom here, and then our root is gonna be here at the top because we target the name part. And then so basically that's how you can work. That's how you can sort. And then the other thing, let me show you how you can delete a document. Now basically, remember I told you that the documents here is just like the record. So basically you can delete one document. So basically, for example, if you want to delete one document, you can use delete one method. So basically the first parameter of the delete method is a query object defining which document to delete. Remember, it is delete _1. And I remember, if you find more than one document, only the first occurrence will be deleted if it has the same records or the same values. But if you use this method, it will delete only the first record. So like I can say here, perhaps let me say let me target the first record in this Mongodb. It is Nehemiah. Okay, so let me just target this one. So I'm gonna do this. Let me just say sorry, it should be PyCharm. And then here I'm gonna say perhaps my query. And these are my let me just create another variable here, and then let me just call it my query like that. And then let me assign it to this dictionary. For example, I want to delete where name is. Let me target name. Where name is what? Let me say Nehemiah Wekesa. Nehemiah should be Nehemiah. Sorry, Nehemiah Wekesa. and then here let me use this method here now at the bottom. Let me just say my call. Remember, my call is for collection. My call is the variable for collection. Then let me say delete one, and then we are gonna pass in what my query. Remember, my query is the variable up there, and this variable here. And then what I do, guys, let me just try to run and see if it will work. Shift plus F10, and then basically, if you don't see any error, just know that it is deleted. Let's try to refresh, and then let me refresh here. And then I can see now we have 22 records. We don't have we don't have the Nehemiah Wekesa. And then, for example, if you want to delete this Dan Situma, what you do, just modify there, and then add in add in the name that you want to delete, and then again I do at Shift plus F10, then run, and then when you refresh there, this dance system will no longer be available there. Let's try to refresh. You can see initially it was 20 of 22. Then let's try. You can see it's now 21, and then that part of done is deleted. Again, let's try with Abigail. Then what I do, let me just paste it there, and then Shift plus F10. Remember, you can use run, or you can use the shortcut Shift plus F10. Then when you refresh here, it was initially 21. Now you can see it is 20 of 20. Then you can see we don't have that part for done. So basically, that's how you can do that. But also, you can also delete several at the same time. You can see that going one by one is kind of hectic. So a good practice is always to, if you want to delete many records, you can use the delete underscore many method to basically to delete more than one document. So guys, basically remember the first parameter of the delete underscore many method is a query object defining which document to delete. So like I can say this, perhaps I can say perhaps here. Let me use a regular expression. Let me just do this. So here, my query here, I'm gonna do it. Let me say perhaps for name, I'm gonna do it. Let me just use a regular expression here, and then I say, remember, it should be inside there. Should be another dictionary again inside the dictionary, and then here I'm gonna say what? Let me pass in. First of all, a dollar sign. Then let me use a regular expression RGS, regular EX expression, and then separate a key from a value with a colon, and then here I'm gonna say perhaps a value that has perhaps, let's say, let me just say perhaps Nehemiah and above, N and above. Let me just see. We have John, Michael, Boniface, and Ruth. Let me just perhaps let me say that as N and above, so that it may delete the value that has Ruth. The other that has N in the alphabetical. Remember the first name. In the first name, that's perhaps N and above. And so in that case, what I do, let me just say here that has above that has N and above in the alphabetical order, so that it may delete it. So here we're gonna change the argument here from the method from delete one to delete underscore many. Delete underscore many, and then we pass the same variable, and then here the print function. Perhaps let me just try to be descriptive so that you can see the results at the terminal. Let me say print let me say x. First of all, let me use here I should have used what? Let me use a variable here. Let me assign this one to a variable, and then here perhaps let me say x. Let me say x dot delete and delete count here. Then let me add in a string, Then perhaps let me say documents. So it will show the number of documents deleted. So let me say documents deleted. What I know is that row AR is smaller than n in the alphabetical order basically, so it should be deleted if we refresh. So what I do is let me try to run shift plus F10 to refresh. And then again, basically you can see zero document were deleted. So basically, let me just try to say perhaps that has, let me say R and above, then a shift plus F10, and then 3 records were deleted. So basically it will delete the name that has R and above. So let me just try to find it out. It should be first of all root. Let me just refresh. And then you can see here at the bottom we no longer have a root in our records, so that's a good practice to delete. You can also try perhaps let me say aim so that it may delete a Michael. So let me just say aim. Let me say aim that begins with aim, then a shift plus F10 to run, and then six documents were deleted. So when you refresh, all the Michaels and all the other stuffs will be deleted here. So we no longer have those Michaels and whatever. We have done what we have deleted. So basically that's how you can do that. And basically if you want to delete all the documents in a collection, basically what you do in that case, you don't have to basically you're gonna just pass in there. Let me be in the code editor so that you may see what I mean. So basically to delete all the documents in the collection, we just pass an empty query object to delete. Basically just pass in an empty query object to the delete underscore many here. Basically to delete underscore many here, and then you're gonna just pass in here an empty query set or an empty dictionary. And then what I do guys here also, this is a first line of code I can just delete because I no longer need it. And then here the print function, and you can say let it be the way it is. And then what I do, let me just try to run shift plus F10, and then 11 documents were deleted. When you refresh, we will no longer have any record here. When you refresh, you can see 0 of 0. So we have just deleted everything here. So basically that's how you can delete all the document. Also guys, let me show you how you can delete the collection. Remember collections like these customers. Remember collections just like a table. Remember this table now doesn't have anything. So I can show you how you can delete a table or a collection. Remember in Mongodb it is called collection, but then in SQL relation database it is called table, but then here it is collection. So here guys, I basically use remember when you just click on this option, there's an option to drop the collection, but I want to show you with code. So basically with code we just say, perhaps let me just go there and let me just get there, and then here you're gonna just use this method. Perhaps let me just say my call. Remember my call is defines a collection. My call dot drop, just as easy as this one. So as simple as this way. Then what you do is let me just click on shift plus F10 to run, and then what you do, let me refresh. Let me refresh here, and then you can see we no longer have the database. Remember, a database in Mongo is defined with the database name and also the collection. So now you can see that it has deleted the record because we had only a single collection. So now it has done what it has deleted everything here. So basically let me show you how you can update the collection, but also you have deleted everything guys. So basically in that case we are gonna modify again. Perhaps let's try to add in records. I forgot I should have added several, I should have added several collections so that when we delete, it may not interfere with our stuff. So let me show you once again. It's an added advantage for you, because it's gonna be kind of a revision. So here let me just delete. Then here once again, remember this one we have just defined. Let me just say, let me click on Shift plus F10. So basically that table will be created, or that document, basically that table will be created. Perhaps let me create several. The other one, let me just call it. The other one, I can just say, let me use my collection 2, my collection 2, or my collection underscore 2. Let me just say my collection. Or let me just use my call this one with the double L, or whichever name. Perhaps I can just say my call underscore 2, like that. And then here I can give it, perhaps I can give it a glance. I can give it glance. Once again, let's try to run Shift plus F10. And then if it doesn't give you any error, just know that it is created. But remember, for it to be created or to be shown in the database, you must also add in some values. So what I do is basically to insert some item. Remember we use let me just say my dict for the dictionary. Then let me insert in. Let me just say, perhaps it's a dictionary. Perhaps I can say name. I can give it. Remember, for ID, if you want to specify a unique ID, just specify. Here, just say underscore ID, and then you give it what? You give it the integer. Perhaps it is 1, and then you separate with a comma, and then here also for the next key value pair, you also do it the same. You say name, and then the name itself you can say, perhaps let me say Nehemiah. Perhaps Wekesa. Nehemiah Wekesa, and then the address you separate with a comma first of all, and then for address column or address part, I can just say perhaps Nairobi, Kenya, like that. And then what I do is let me just do the same for the second dictionary. Basically what I do, let me just say let me just copy. Then let me create for dictionary 2. Actually, the one that I'll add the clans. Then here let me just do it. Let me just say 2. And then here let me just create 2 variables. The first one for X to insert for in the first collection. Then the second one in the next collection. So let me say my collection. But then the records. This one is gonna be for these are variable for these are customers collection. So here I can say dot insert 1. This one is just 1. Then I'm gonna pass in what? My dict. This is my dict. Let me say my dict, and then let me just for the other one, let me just use y. Perhaps let me say y, and then let me assign it to, and this one is my call 2, my collection 2, and then here I'm gonna say dot insert 1. Then here I'm gonna pass in, now this is my dict 2, my dict underscore 2. Remember, you can modify the names. Perhaps for these are 2, perhaps I can say something like a John. Let me say John Wekesa. Then what I do, guys, let me try to execute. Let me try to run Shift plus F10, and then and that table must be added there. Let me just try to run. Then let me refresh here, and then you can see now we have that database called my database, and then now we have the I have two database. The first one has John Wekesa, then the second one has Nehemiah Wekesa. And guys, basically I've shown you how you can add records. You can try to add multiple, and do other stuff that I've just showed you. But then at the essence here, I wanted to show you how you can do it, how you can how you can update the collection, how you can update a document or a record. So what I do, let me just show you that how you can do it, how you can update how you can update a collection. So basically you can update a record or a document as it is called in Mongodb by using the update_1 method if you want to modify one. Remember, the first parameter of the update_1 method is a query object defining which document to update. Remember, if you query, basically if the query finds more than one record, only the first occurrence will be updated. Remember, in our case, we only have a single record. You can add several, but for now, let's just work with this one. So, like, I can modify in this customers record, in this customers collection. I can modify this document name Wekesa to something else. So in that case, let me just get to the code, and then let me show you that. Let me perhaps define a variable. Let me just here, guys, let me just say let me just do this. Let me just remember these tabs, I no longer need them, or perhaps I can do this. Let me just delete. Remember, this table already exists, so let me just say perhaps let me just say use this variable, like let me say my query, then let me assign it to remember as a dictionary. Let me assign it to perhaps name. It was name. Let me use a Nehemiah Wekesa. Let me say Nehemiah. Let me say Nehemiah Wekesa, and then basically do the first value, like then at the second one I can modify. Let me just copy. Let me say new value, perhaps. Let me say new. I can change perhaps to, let me change it to Daniel Scott. Let me change it to Daniel Scott, and then what I do is here at the bottom I can change some arguments here. Perhaps here, guys, basically in this a new item I could have just changed. I could have modified here. I could have said, let me say, I should have done this. I could have just say set. First of all, I begin a $sign. Then let me say set. Set. Then here you're gonna do this with a colon followed by a colon like this. Then here you just do it. Just pass this one. You ensure that it's a colon. And then first of all, here it must be inside the curly braces like this here. So this one will define that this one you are replacing Nehemiah Wekesa with these new values, and then it's code. And then also for print function, actually before that you have to use this argument, like you specify which one you are targeting. The table itself is basically the collection is my call. Let me say dot update method should be update one because it's just a single. Then I'm gonna update my my query. It's gonna be my query, and then comma. Then I'm gonna pass in what new. That is the new variable here for the new values, and then now basically if I want to print perhaps the customers after the update, we can do this. It was customers, right? Yeah, customers. I can say for X in my call, my column, my call dot find, then is a method, and then here colon, then let me say print what, print x. So what I do, let me try to run shift plus F10, or I can alternatively you can just use this one, and then what it does, it will modify. You can see when I will refresh, here, you can see it's now done escort. So basically that's how you can modify. If you have many, you'll just have to use the update underscore many method. Then the process is gonna be just the same. So let me talk about something else, like let me talk about how you can limit. But remember, for limit you must have several arguments, or several addresses, or several items. Remember, in our case we only have what, one record. But to update, you just use basically to limit basically the number that you want to return in the terminal, or in your terminal. Basically you can do it, you can limit the results with a limit method. Guys, perhaps let me just get to my website and get some records, so that I may not waste your time. Let me just get to my website, the nametech website, nametech.com, and then it is at 5. And then here, let me just find where there's Mongo. Remember, guys, you can always find reference here on this website. It is at the page 5 for Python. Remember, you can as well go to Python to nametech.com, then go to the Python course. Then when you click on it, go to next until you reach what, page 5 here. You will see here at the top, it reflects Python underscore, basically Python hyphen 5. Then what you do, guys, basically this last item, click on we are focusing on this one. Then here, guys, basically I can do this. I can try to add some, basically I don't have some examples here, but then I can try on your end. You can just add the records manually. Like let me just try to add in some records manually here. So like guys, basically what I'll do, let me just show you how you can add those records manually. Remember, it can be the same, or which. Let me just do this. First of all, let me create my dictionary. Let me just delete these tabs. Then let me say my dict. Remember, I'm just repeating myself because I deleted my records by mistake. I didn't see the future here, so I should have created another collection and use it. But then here, let me just creating another values, like let me just copy the same, or let me just type. Let me just type in perhaps name. Let me say adding the value. Let me say John. Let me say John. Let me remember that we modified Nehemiah, so Nehemiah is no longer available here. So let me just paste it here. And then I remember this one, I no longer need it. I forgot to delete. And then here, so basically this is the name part and also the address. Then a colon. Then here I can say address. Let's say again Nairobi, Kenya. Nairobi, Kenya. So basically this one is gonna be in the. I want to add it in both. These are column 1 and the column. Alright, let me just focus on this my collection 1. So what I do, not column, guys, it's collection. My this variable is variable for collection. And then here, guys, in the next line of code, let me define now. Let me say x dot x. Then assign it to, and these are my call. Then let me say dot insert. Insert one, you can, if you have several, you can use, or let me just use insert several. Let me just let me just create a list for this one. Then what I do, so then inside this one I'm gonna do this. Let me also add in here. So inside here it should be now a dictionary. Inside this a list, a dictionary, and then here I can copy the values, and then let me just paste. I want it to be aligned perfectly. I don't know, yeah. But let me just move them in the to be organized. Let me just try to, no, should be these ones only. Yeah, here, then perhaps let me try to modify here to perhaps Michael. Here, let me change here to Victor. Here, let me change here to Dan. Let me change here to Ken. Ken. Then here we're gonna change from insert one to insert many, and then we are gonna do this. Let's remember, you must always separate an item with a comma. Should be a comma. Also here also a comma, and then here we're gonna pass in what that my date like this, and then what I do, let me click on Shift plus F10, and then basically when we refresh on this other end, it should be there in my collection, in the customers collection. Then we have these new records. I forgot to specify the ID, but it's not a big deal. However, guys, basically the essence here, I wanted to show you how you can limit what the results that you want to see there at the terminal, or basically on your code on Python. Basically, remember this one we are going to focus on Python. So here guys, basically to limit the results in MongoDB, we use the limit method. And I remember I said the limit method takes one parameter, a number defining how many documents to return. And basically consider that you have these are customers collection. What you do after that, basically as these are records you saw in the MongoDB. So basically in that case, what you do to limit, you can just modify. Let me first of all, rather guys, let me try to run it again so that it may add several records. Shift plus F10, so it will duplicate the same results. Let me try to refresh. Now it is 11. So what I do now, here the code should not add the pie chart. Let me delete these tabs. Then I'm gonna use another argument perhaps to limit the number of results that I want to see. I can say my result. Then let me assign it to my collection. Then let me say dot find. And dot find method is a method. And then here let me say dot limit. We are gonna use another method called limit. Then perhaps let's say 5. Limit 5, so that it may return the first 5 records. Then let me now use a for loop so that I may return. So for x in my result, then print. I'm gonna print now x. Then I shift plus F10, and then you can see guys, basically let me just. You can see guys, here I have limited. It has returned the first 5 records. So guys, basically this is all about the MongoDB that I wanted to show you in this course. And guys, I think you've gained a lot. Please guys, subscribe, like the video, share it to your friends so that many people like you can also gain some knowledge. But I really appreciate you very much for your precious time. Until next time, this is Nehemiah. Goodbye.